And hello, welcome everyone to this video. So in the last video, we were talking about a roadmap to understanding a little bit more about .NET Core databases and Entity Framework Core. Okay, so first off, we want to learn how to deal with lists, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Like Kudvenkat's videos from PragimTech has been very useful in helping me understand all of this. Okay. Of course, he goes a little fast for my own personal liking, so I'm going to do things way slower because I'm not a computer science student, so I don't get these things nearly as fast as computer science students. So yeah, so I'm doing this like as an amateur, so I'll be recording all the things that I learned at the amateur level, so don't expect it to be too fast or too professional. Okay, so without further ado, let's start. Okay, so first thing first, when I did the when I did the lists back then, when I did things in the last video, okay, you would have seen me make actually like a list of things in my HTML page. Yeah, so you would have seen a lot of a list that I made. Okay, a list of things that I can submit a form and then you will automatically generate a list. So well, before we deal with how to do all this MariaDB stuff, we want to learn how to work with lists first. Okay, we want to work with lists first and some of their interfaces and all that, how that all meshes up with MariaDB eventually, but I'm going to talk about some of these data types first. And of course, we will want to have a simple page for us to work with, and I just actually made a page for us off the screen time. Okay, I called this page. This page is called dataStorage CSHTML and dataStorage CSHTML.cs. So it's really just a blank page with a functions block and a code block right here. This is the CSHTML part. This is basically what the page is. Okay, so there's really nothing here at all. There is literally no new code, nothing fancy right here. It's just a plain page for us to work with. And of course, I added over here a new page in the navigation area. Okay, and then you'll see this part called data storage. Okay. I think these line numbers are not lining up nicely because of text wrap, so I can just do a set no wrap. Okay, this will make it a lot nicer to work with. Okay, I'll press W to scroll through the words. So see, now it behaves a little bit more normally. Of course, I can open my Vim RC. Oops, let me quit this. I want to open my Vim RC. And then yeah, this is the settings I have. I want to put a set no wrap here. Okay, alright, and then I'll open up the same files so that I have a no wrap option being done permanently. Okay, if you want my Vim RC settings, just leave a comment in the thing below. I can post it up for you, but the video is not about Vim, so I'll just focus on the ASP.NET Core part. Okay, so what I have now is a very empty page just called data storage, and it's nothing really interesting. Okay, so first thing first, how do we work with lists? Okay, so basically lists are like a kind of an object. It's a class. Okay, lists are a class where it's literally a list of things. The things could be strings, it could be a list of objects, any kind of thing you want. All right, and this is the kind of class we will work with. This is the kind of class we will work with if we do not want to really deal with MariaDB or Entity Framework Core. Okay, Entity Framework Core is what we use to work with the databases, which I assume you know. Okay, and the list class actually implements the things over here, the ICollection interface. the IEnumerable interface, and all of these other interfaces. Now this is important because if you want to use this list to implement an interface and then you want to do dependency injection and switch things over for entity framework call, you have to pay attention to what types it implements. Okay, so lists are part of something called they're collections, they're enumerables. Okay, so what these are, they are basically enumerables are basically things that you can use these for loops on. For example, for whatever variable in these objects. Okay, if you can use a for loop on them, usually they are under the class of things called enumerables. Okay, so enumerables are things that you can use the for loop to iterate through them, or in other words, enumerate through them. Okay, so if you have this thing in the for loop here, you should be able to enumerate through them to display all the data. Okay, so this is what enumerables are about, meaning to say you can use this for loop to display some data. So before I jump out over to more things over here, I definitely want to talk about them sometime, like what is ICollection, and what's the difference between ICollection, IEnumerable, and Dbset. But let's talk about that later. Let's just start dealing with something simple, something concrete. We'll deal with for loops first, and then of course we will then move on from there. Okay, so we will want to have a for loop kind of a thing displayed here. So I'm going to start by making a class of things. Well, that class, maybe I will call it I will place it in the models directory. So I'm going to make a models directory right here. Okay, I'll make a models directory right here, and what I would like to do is to make an object. For example, well, for me as an engineer, I want to make a flow sheet of objects like pipes, pumps, heat exchangers, all that kind of things. So all these objects will have certain properties to it, like mass flow rate and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so I would like to go to the models. Okay, I'm going to start making objects here. So I'm going to vim a new thing. So let's call this I'm going to vim components. Okay, so this a component is oops, sorry, I should be components.cs. Alright, so what am I making here? So imagine I'm making a flow sheet of things like components, like pipes, pumps, all these kind of things, and yeah, I have some properties to them. I will of course change things as time goes on, but yeah, this I want to make a collection of components. Okay, so very simple. I will just make a components.cs as a way to start. Okay, and in my components.cs file here, I will of course want to include some things. For example, using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC. Or actually no, I can just copy and paste. Why do it the hard way? So I'm going to copy the pages, and I'm going to copy the data storage cshtml.cs page here, okay, into components.cs, and then I'm going to change this one here. Okay, I'm going to just delete the Razor Pages one here, and I will just change this from .NET Test Pages to .NET Test Models. Okay, so I'm going to make a class down here that doesn't inherit from anything. So I'll just call this a public class component. Components or component? Okay, I'll just call this component then. Alright, so this thing will actually have some properties here. Okay, what properties will it have? Maybe I will have let me do a 11dd here. Oh, even better, delete in the curly braces. So di and curly braces, that will delete everything for you inside the curly braces. Okay, what will I have inside this component? I will have public integer. Okay. Alright, I'm going to start by giving it an ID. Okay, component ID. Okay, ID will be spelled with capital I and small d. Why? Yeah, I mean it's pretty arbitrary for the time being until you use entity framework call. Then you realize that it's better to leave this IDs name like this, because and you don't say identification or what, you need to put the letters ID there so that somehow their code will pick it up and it will help you with some convenient features inside the database. But anyway, for now, I will just leave it as that. If you're not sure, we will get to that later. Yeah, so components, I would like it to have an ID. Okay, I will have a string and then you'll say component type. Okay, I'll have a component name, or I'll just call it name. Alright, and well, let's have a double for temperature in degrees C, public double pressure pascals, public double what else? Density? Do you need density? Mass flow rate, kg per hour, kg per, maybe I'll use SI unit, kg per second. Okay, so these are the few things I have. I'm not going to give it any what do you call that, default values just yet. I will just leave it as is. Okay, or maybe I will even change them, all of these, into properties. So by properties I mean they will have this get set kind of a thing here, and then I will just replace all of these semicolons with get and set using the full stop to repeat the commands in Vim, and there you go. Okay, hold on. Okay, so why am I making an object? Okay, it's because I want to make a list of these objects. So let me just put this. Let's see whether the compiler actually complains. So if it doesn't complain, usually things are good. I will just save and quit. Okay, and I'm going to do things, of course, the dependency injection way. That's the way that works. It is best to do it with loose coupling, and of course it doesn't give you as many errors later on. Okay, so save your stuff within do it in the dependency injection format, and you'll have like less things to worry about later on. Okay, so I have components. The other thing I will have is a component list or component repository. So what's a component repository for? A component repository is here to, okay, the main thing is that it's here to what do you call that, what are the words? Yeah, it's here to store a list of these components. Alright, it's here to store a list of these components. Okay, so this component repository can store the list of components in the memory or inside the database. So what do I mean by storing it in memory? What I mean is that, okay, we store it as an object that so-called that will live throughout the lifetime of this web page. Like we talked about singletons before. So we want this component list or thing to survive as a singleton throughout the whole scope of this the thing. Okay, so if we are going to store it in memory, we want to make sure that it stays even after you load the web page, because once you load the web page object gets destroyed. Okay, and then that scoped or transient thing also disappears. So the object disappears. You do not want that for your in-memory repository. Okay, I've talked enough. So let's actually make a component list. Alright, so we can make a component list of sorts. Okay, what's this component list supposed to look like? Well, I'm going to copy the components. Then I'll put a component list. Component list.cs. So vim components component list.cs. Okay, and the whole idea of this is just that what's this here to do? It is just here to make sure that these component lists, there will be a list of components that will sort of just live somewhere, live in a class, right? So how do I do it? Okay, I'll just do it public class component list, and it's not going to inherit from anything, or it could actually just inherit from a list actually. So component list component, and I'm going to have it inherit from list component. So open and close curly brace. Let's see whether it it is complaining because I already have a definition from components, so I just delete all of this off using 14dd, and then I'm going to close the curly brace there. Okay, so or maybe let me not make it so complicated by doing it the inheritance way. So what am I doing here? Instead of doing it the inheritance way, I'm just going to declare the list inside the component list class. So how do we do it? Okay, I'm going to have a public list of component. Okay, I'll just call it the list. Alright, a very creative name, I'm sure. I hope it doesn't confuse. Okay, so this is the list of components. Okay, so how do I define the list? Okay, how do I define the list? Well, I can add members to it by let's see, vim component list or component star. I'll open both of them. Okay, so on the right, I know what kind of things to fill in. Okay, so component list will be here. I will have a new component list declared. Okay, and in the constructor, I'll just put a constructor here, set it to public. Okay, what back capital A to insert, and close the brackets, go up, press O, and this will open a new line. Okay, so in the constructor, what do? I'm just going to say list equals to new list component. Okay, and then I'll open and close bracket, and that's how we make a new list. I mean, we're not going to use a dependency injection way for this case. Okay, we're just going to keep it simple unless we need dependency injection. Okay, because this list is going to be very tightly coupled to component. I'm not going to like swap in the components for any other objects. So I'll just leave the list as it is. Okay, so maybe over here I will have a public. I'll make a function here to just populate the list. Okay, I'll just call it populate list. Right, populate list. Wait, wait. Populate list, what does it do? Well, I'm going to add items to this list. Maybe I'm going to add about 3 items. So I will say component I call this pipe1 equals to new component. Okay, this is declaring the object pipe1.id, id equals to 1, pipe1.name equals to, well, what should we call it? My pipe. Okay, pipe1.component type equals to, well, pipe. It's just a pipe. Pipe1.temperature C equals to, well, it's already a double, so it's 25. Okay. Pipe1.pressure pascals equals to 101,325. That's approximately atmospheric pressure. Public pipe1 dot mass flow rate kg per second equals to, well, you'll just give it 0.5, and hopefully that's it. Nothing, no one complains. Cannot convert type string to double. Okay, so yeah, I just made all of these strings, so this should not be a string. Alright, there you go. Okay, so now we have a pipe. Okay, maybe I will have a pump and a heat exchanger as well. So I want to have parts of these, like I want to have functions to make all of these so that the code will be neater. So I'm going to copy and paste these things over to another line of code. For example, public what's the return type? Public component. Let's see. Return or get pipe. Okay. So I will have some of this. Yank this out here. Paste. Alright, why am I doing this? So that it will make it a lot easier later on. Okay, so component get pipe, it will be as such. Pipe ID 1, my pipe. Okay, I'll just call this get pipe 1. Alright, get pipe 1. Okay, it's not going to take in any inputs, it'll just give you an output. So, okay, right. Let me do it like that. Component pipe 1 equals to get pipe 1. Okay, that's all. That's how it should work. Not all code paths return a value. Alright, I forgot the return pipe 1. Return pipe 1. Thank you. Okay, now it should be okay. So I'm just going to do the same for a pump and maybe a heat exchanger. Yank. Paste it twice. Okay, and then I'll just call this get pump 1. Okay, the ID is, maybe I'll call it 2. And then all of this should become pump. CRW pump 1. Okay, change, and there we go. Okay, and then we'll just change in the parentheses. I will just call the type pump, and now I'll call this change this to my pump. Okay, I use CW, and finally I will get a heat exchanger. I'll change this to heat exchanger 1. Okay, I'll change this CI word heat exchanger 1 equals to new component. I'll change this all to heat exchanger. Alright, so this ID will be 3, replace it with 3R3, and here is change in this one. I'll just call it my heat exchanger. and then I'll change this to heat. Oh, let me go undo, change in here, heat exchanger. Okay, all the temperatures, pressures are all the same. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so our pipe 1, I'll make a component called pipe 1, and then I'll add it to the list, list.add pipe 1. Okay, component pump 1 equals get pump 1, list.add pump 1, component heat exchanger 1 equals get heat exchanger 1, list.add heat exchanger 1. Alright, let's hope there is nothing wrong. Okay, pump 1 does not exist in current context. How is pump 1 so oh, right here. I should change this to change in word pump 1. There you go. That should fix it. Alright, so we've successfully made a list of objects. So we made an object just, and we added some of these objects to the list. Okay, the list will be, the syntax for the list will be, as you can see here, it will be a list, and whatever objects you store in this list will have to be placed inside these angular brackets. So it can be a custom object such as the component. So it will be a component type object, so you put the class name over here as the type, or it can be a list of strings, it can be a list of doubles, integers, whatever you have it. And one of the most common things that you do to this list is to add things to it. So you have to add, the list has an add method which actually takes in an object and just adds it to the list. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward what it's supposed to do there. Okay, so where do we find all these methods? We can actually find them right here under the list methods. So you keep scrolling down, you will see under the methods it has an add method. Okay, it also has a clear method which actually removes all elements from the list, and then you see the bracket T. T stands for the type. Okay, type is the type of the thing, like it can be a string type, integer type, or a custom class type like we just made here, a component. Okay, so we had this what do you call that? We had this thing here called populateList. We can also have a thing here called clearList, and this one will help us to clear the list. So here we can just put list.clear. Okay, very simple. It will have a clear method which removes all the elements from the list. Alright, so why are we doing all of this? It's to show you how to work with lists, and if you want to find out what are the methods you can do with lists, you can actually look over here. Okay, so we have made a custom object, and we have made a list also. Alright, here I think this should be called clearList, not clearList. Okay, let's have it named properly. So clearList. So we have a component list now, and it actually contains this component list. All right, and this list is supposed to live throughout the whole duration, right? The duration of the the whole duration of this what do you call that? The whole duration of the web server. Okay, as long as the web server is up, this thing should be up as well. Alright, so we have this list here, but to perform dependency injection we need an interface as well. So let's just have an interface, and then we can move on to adding this as a service for dependency injection. So how do we do this? We have a public interface, I think. Okay, where did I store my interfaces? Okay, whatever. Let's have an interface first. I'll call this IComponent component collection. Alright. Okay. Now, so we have a constructor here, a populate list, and all of that. So we will actually just have some methods over here. So what am I doing here? I'm actually making an interface so that there is a way to actually interact with this component list without touching this class. Alright, so we have an interface here so that we can actually so-called have this dependency injection thingy going on. Okay, so what should we put inside the interface? So generically, how we want to interact with the list is that we want to retrieve the list. Okay, so I'm going to have this. Let's see. I'm going to have an interface for this list. Okay, so let's see. Public. Public something. Okay, what's an interface? What's a suitable interface for this list? Okay, if you want to swap out the kind of list. All right. Okay, so what's a suitable interface? Okay, we take a look at list over here. Okay, we take a look at list here and see what it implements all the way at the top. Okay, you can see it implements a lot of things here: ICollection, IEnumerable, IList, etc., so on and so forth. Okay, which of these implementations should we take? Okay, in case we want to swap out this list for Dbset later on. Okay, Dbset is pretty important. Okay, we want to swap it out for Dbset. So we want to look for the things that are common between Dbset and the list. Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe I should not introduce too many concepts at one go. I will just keep it simple. All right. So I will have. I will just make a what do you call that? Okay. In interfaces, I don't think we need to put the access modifiers. I hope, if I remember correctly. Okay. I'm just gonna have a list component. Okay, list. Okay, get set, and I'm just not gonna have anything here. And I'll make sure this component list implements IComponentCollection. Okay. Okay, I'll have this as a public. Alright, so we'll have our first property that we must implement. Okay, so this is the interface, which is a list, and then we can implement this. Okay, this is a property that we implement. Okay, component list we will not implement, but I will have a void populate list. Okay. Okay, populate list and clear list. Okay, so these are the few methods that we will use to interact with this component list. Clear list. Okay, so populate and clear list will be here. Okay, populate list and clear list will be the methods that we need to implement. Alright, so here we are, IComponentCollection. So we have an interface with which to interact with this list, and also a component list class. This component list class actually constructs a list of objects, which is this component object. So this is somewhat of what we are going to do. Okay, and what are we trying to do here? We are trying to make sure this component list actually survives throughout the entirety of this ASP.NET Core web page server. So we are going to add a singleton of this component list service. Okay, so we already talked about services before and how to add them. So let's get started with that. Okay, how long have I been talking for? Ooh, okay. So I think I've been talking way too long. Pardon me. So yeah, I'm going to stop for now. We have already made the appropriate what do you call that? We have made the we've made a list. We've made a list. We've made a new object class. Okay. We have made a new class called components. We have made a new list, and we want to prepare that list. And we want to add this list as a singleton service. Okay. So that it can survive throughout the entirety of our page, so that it doesn't get deleted every time we reload the web page. So that's very important if you want to store this data in memory. Okay, so for now, that is it. We will stop and we'll continue more often. We'll continue more in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you.